How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got this 2024 Dodge Hornet RT. Now, before we even get into today's video, definitely got to give a quick shout out to Sansone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram on Route 1 North in Avenel, New Jersey. Also, if you're new to my channel, this is not a full review. I repeat, this is not a full review. I'm not going to go over the specs. I'm not going to go over all the numbers and everything. I already did a full review on this new Dodge Hornet RT. If you haven't seen it already, I'll leave the link on top of this video right now. There's so many comments sometimes that I get on these videos where it's like, oh, you didn't talk about this, you didn't talk about that, blah, blah. This is just a POV driving video. This is essentially to show you guys what the interior looks like and for me to talk about more opinionated things that I have about this car, or kind of just how I feel while driving it. And I do have to say, I even said it during the review, I went into the review thinking I was gonna kind of hate on this new Hornet RT a little bit, but I actually kind of really like it. Like, really like it. It offers a really awesome driving experience. This RT has a 1.3 liter turbo inline 4 with 2 electric motors, making almost 400 foot-pounds of torque, and it only weighs around like 41 or 4,200 pounds if I remember correctly. And it definitely feels like it, and it's also all-wheel drive. Like, it feels great. Stellantis essentially kind of like brought out Mopar, I think, or they combined with, you know, Fiat, Lancia, and Alfa Romeo in early 2021. So essentially this new Dodge Hornet is kind of like a more affordable poor man's Alfa Romeo Tonale. I don't want to say poor man, I mean, it's still as expensive, everything is in the new automotive market, but it's very inspired from the new Alfa Romeo Tonale. And honestly, one of the things that I love the most about driving this new Dodge Hornet, and if you have been subscribed to my channel, you know that I have beef with steering wheel mounted paddle shifter. I hate that they move around. Most of them are cheaper or plastic, but this one has huge metal column mounted paddle shifters, and they feel amazing to use. You could see as I turn the wheel, they stay in place, and they're kind of in the way of like your turn signals and windshield washer controls, kind of like right there. For me, it's not really that big of a problem. I could see like maybe like a smaller person kind of being annoyed with it a little bit, but honestly for me, it's not that big of a deal. Also, another little thing that I love about these new Dodge Hornets are the amount of spec combinations that you can do when buying them. The exterior paint color on this one is the cue ball white, and the interior is essentially just like the regular black interior, although you can see like the red stitches along kind of like the dash here. You do have red stitches on the side bolsters of these Alcantara seats that you do get with the track pack, and then there are also red stitches on like the armrest as well. The track pack does come with the Alcantara seats. That is not like, that's something you got to pay more for. And also with the RT Plus, you do get the option for red leather seats, which I do think look very good when kind of compared to your standard base, just like black seats. But again, this video, I'm not going to really talk about like the specs and everything and all the numbers and history behind the Hornet. I have all that down there. But if you don't know, the AMC Hornet was actually originally around in the 70s. It was between the model years of 1970 and 1977. So for me, going into this review, I knew that I originally saw this new Hornet at the 2022 New York Auto Show, and I kind of thought that I was going to hate on it a little bit in this video, I'm not gonna lie, because it's just another crossover that took the nameplate of what was essentially originally a traditional car. But anyways, yeah, like actually after being able to drive it, I have to say, like, any negative things that I kind of thought about it in the past are kind of gone. Now there is, you know, there's some negative things to it, but holding off on that note, putting it in sport mode, you can actually see, oh yeah, there we go, it was already in sport mode. Using the paddle shifters, we're in second now, no one's behind us, no one's in front of us, and just flooring it. it feels pretty damn cool. I mean, honestly, for something that's an SUV, like, it feels great. And another thing that I do really like is that with the transmission, I had it in drive right there from like just the gear stick, and I used the paddle shifters to upshift. And yes, it was in sport mode. Although sport mode, I guess it changes the shift points when you're in automatic and not really using the paddle shifters. But you can see how it responded basically to me shifting it. However, when you flip it over into the manual mode, it's not going to respond to me. So right now it's in 6th gear, and if I screw up with the paddle shifters or actually using the stick as the gear selector, it's not going to shift for me, which I honestly really like. My daily is a manual vehicle, so for me, you know, I like having that extra bit of control while you're driving. I know for some people, maybe they won't like it, I don't know. And yes, I mean, at the end of the day, something like this still doesn't beat the amount of control you have as a driver with a regular manual transmission, but this is kind of like the second best thing, honestly. If you're looking for that little extra aspect of having more driver control over your vehicle and not just letting it kind of drive for you. And for me, that's one of the many factors that Dodge did very well when they introduced this new Dodge Hornet for the 2023 model year. Because like I said before, this nameplate was originally on that AMC Hornet. And although the AMC Hornet was kind of like a hatchback, it was a smaller, like compact size car. They came in 2-door and 4-door, and there was like a station wagon variant as well. But overall, like the Hornets, a lot of people actually kind of made drag cars out of them back in the day, which I think is pretty damn cool. So they were an enthusiast vehicle. They were a very like niche vehicle. So Dodge kind of wanted to make, yes, I mean, they made it a crossover, but they kind of captured a little bit of that performance heritage while making it, and they definitely had it in mind. Now, if you're looking for just a more affordable option as like a daily driver, I would definitely go with like the GT instead of the RT. But with the GT, you do not have the electrification. You don't have those 2 electric motors. So honestly, the RT, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, like the RT is better for performance, and I would have to say like probably better as a daily driver as well, because the fuel economy, you know. So I think that because of the fuel economy and the fact that you're getting like over 70 mpge when you take into account those electric motors. And I said this during the review, I said over 70 mpge. The number is estimated, I think it's at like 77. I could be wrong, I'll edit it in the video right now. But the EPA has not actually rated this new Dodge Hornet yet, just as like the IIHS hasn't actually put out a safety rating for this new Dodge Hornet yet, because they haven't even done the crash tests yet. So there's a lot of things that are kind of unknown. One of those variables, which is very important for something that's a daily driver, is the reliability. I mean, yes, I love Sandstone for letting me take this thing out, but I do have to say, a lot of your Mopar vehicles, especially like their newer models or like maybe 2010s era models, they're not necessarily known for being the most reliable things on the road, especially when you're looking at like, I guess the Grand Cherokees or even like the Durango that's in front of us right now. Like, I mean, it's not the best thing, but at the end of the day, to still give some credit to this Hornet, it's a brand new freaking model. So with, you know, Stellantis and them taking all the cues basically from all the different brands that are under the Stellantis tree, hopefully in the future we don't see a lot of problems with this new Hornet on different forums or whatever, where people are like running into some crazy nonsense that shouldn't be happening. Now, another thing, speaking about reliability, I used to actually work at a Volvo dealership, and a lot of your new Volvo models come with either a turbo inline 4. I think maybe some come with the turbo 6-cylinder. I'm not quite sure. I kind of forgot. It's been a while. But I know that all the techs hated the new models, because with your turbo engines, you're gonna just run into so much more issues if they're not properly insulated for the amount of heat that basically comes with having something that is turbocharged. So hopefully Dodge did do their due diligence, and all their engineers and everything did what they were supposed to when developing this drivetrain. But again, me as someone who does just car videos on YouTube, I can't really quite speak on its reliability, and only time will tell. Also, one thing that I didn't really quite touch on a lot during the full review of this new Dodge Hornet, and actually kind of going up to this light now and getting up to where I can stop and talk about it a little bit, is the infotainment system. The infotainment system is a tad bit undersized, I would have to say, but it still does pretty much have like everything that you would want. Now, one thing I do really like about these new Stellantis models, and I actually already filmed a Grand Wagoneer for Sansone as well as a Dodge Durango Hellcat, and both of those models had this vehicle kind of option in the menu as well. This one being a plug-in hybrid, you can actually see the power flow, how much power the engine's taking, and I do actually have the air on right now, so that does take around like 1 kilowatt. But if we go over into my car, you can actually see like it'll update you for, you know, your service miles and everything. But in performance, you actually do have a torque meter and a turbo meter. Now it is in bar, and it goes up to 2.3. Now off the top of my head, I do not know the conversion rate to PSI, but I'll edit it in the video right now. And for 2.3, actually, well, I mean, I'm getting on the highway. I'll see what the peak boost is, but I'll basically kind of try to convert that into PSI for you guys, so you have a better understanding of how much power you're actually getting out of this turbo for the inline 4. A lot of the torque that you feel, that instantaneous torque, does come from those two electric motors, because in the GT, if I remember correctly, the torque is actually, I think it's under 300, so it's basically almost like 100 foot-pounds jump when you go from those Hornet GTs to the Hornet RTs. So I definitely think that gives a much better experience while driving it for obvious reasons. And just like kind of waiting for this light to turn right now, I'll show you guys. And also, yeah, the torque gauge, that is in Newton meters, so it goes up to like 270, but again, in foot pounds, it's almost like 400. I think it's like 380 something. But here, just stepping on it. It's not in sport mode, hopefully that doesn't affect it, but it looks like it's peaking out right around 1.7 bar and 240 Newton meters of torque when my foot was all the way on the ground. And at that point, my GoPro proceeded to overheat, but I was essentially pretty much done with the video. That we only lost like about a minute's worth of footage, and it was just the outro. So if you guys stuck to the end of today's video, definitely be sure to let me know what you guys like or dislike about this new Hornet down in the comment section below. Again, while you're down there, definitely be sure to leave a like and sub. It means a lot as a smaller car channel here on YouTube. But like always, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.